Hello everyone, welcome to another vlog. So in today's vlog, we're gonna be talking about the GMAT and the GRE. It's a very commonly asked question these days as to whether you should take the GMAT or whether you should take the GRE. You know that most B schools these days are accepting the GRE score as well. It's common knowledge now. So which test should you take? I'll give you a quick answer and I'll give you a detailed answer. The quick answer is take the GMAT. Now for the detailed answer. The detailed answer is that it depends on your background. Okay, let's see, why would somebody take the GRE over the GMAT? I can think of two reasons. One is you want to keep your options open. So you're not only looking at business schools, you're also looking at other programs, non-MBA programs. Fair enough. The other reason could be that you think the GMAT is the more difficult test and you want to take the GRE, which you, for whatever reason, believe is the easier test. Is it actually the easier test? I'll address that a little later. But those are the two reasons I can think of why somebody would take the GRE. So now, let's bring into the picture your background. Let's say you belong to what I call a traditional background, a typical MBA applicant. So you've done your undergrad in commerce or economics, you've worked at a bank, an investment bank, a consulting firm, a typical profile. Now, if you apply with a GRE score, that will not be a good idea because the AdCom will wonder, why did you do so? Was it the first reason that you were not sure of, whether you're going to be applying to a B school or to some other program, which shows indecision on your part? Or if it's the other reason where you found this test to be easier, again, it doesn't reflect very well on you. So you see, if you belong to a traditional background, the GRE is not a good idea. You should take the GMAT ideally. If you have a very different profile, a very different background, you've worked in movies, you've been working in the social sector, you've majored in international relations, some very different, you're a doctor maybe. If you have a very different profile, then the GRE I think works perfectly, because then the B school will anyway view your candidature favorably because you bring the much needed diversity to the batch. Diversity is a buzzword at business schools, much thrown around word if you ask me. But you would be viewed favorably. If you have a different profile, then the GRE is absolutely fine. But if you have a typical MBA type profile, the GRE is not going to be a good idea. Right? Take the GMAT. Having said that, let me say one more thing. A good score on the GRE will be better than a not so good score on the GMAT. In fact, that is one situation in which I recommend students to try the GRE when they've taken the GMAT 3 or 4 times and for whatever reason they can't get a good score. They're stuck on a 610, 620, 630. Then I do ask them to try the GRE because it's a very different test. And they might just get a better score on the GRE. So if your score on the GRE and GMAT is the same or similar after you convert it, then GMAT is definitely the test that you want to apply with. However, if your score on the GMAT is not very good, it's better on the GRE, then you should apply with your GRE score. Whatever the B school thinks, a good score would still be better than a not so good GMAT score. In short, what I'm saying is, if you are from a traditional background, apply with a GMAT score. If you, for some reason, cannot get a good GMAT score after trying 2 or 3 times, then try the GRE. You may still not get a good score because if you've done badly on the GMAT, you may end up doing badly on the GRE. But if you get a better score on the GRE, then you can apply with your GRE score. So now the second thing I want to address, which is the easier test, the GMAT or the GRE? Because I keep getting this a lot from students, from counselors, that we've recommended our student to take the GRE because it's the simpler test. I absolutely strongly disagree with that. Now, I have taught for every exam, I've written books for the exams. If I were given a personal choice between GMAT and GRE, it would be the GMAT any day of the week. And that's because the GMAT is a more predictable test. You know what is correct on the GMAT, you know what is incorrect on the GMAT. The GRE is not. I mean, there is a lot of stuff, there are a lot of questions I've come across, official questions that I can debate. and I still am not very sure why the correct answer is the correct answer. I'm not even sure if they are sure why the correct answer is the correct answer. That's the GRE for you. So why do people think it's easy? Because of the math. Now, if I go into details, the GRE math is far simpler than the GMAT math. There's no two ways about it. But the GRE English is not easy at all. It's very different from the GMAT English. There is no grammar being tested, hardly any reasoning. It's mainly testing you on comprehension and a little bit on vocabulary. The GRE English is not easy. That's where students struggle. My students typically I see getting a 170 or a 170 in math, but in English they struggle to cross a 150. The GRE incidentally is out of 340. 170 in math, 170 in English. The typical breakup I see 170 in math, 150 or lower in English. In that way, it's not any different from the GMAT, because even in the GMAT I see 51 in math, 25 in English. But it will be easier to improve on GMAT English than it would be on GRE English. GRE English is not really very teachable if you ask me. GMAT can be taught. So it is not, I think it's not an easier test if but it's a different test. So as I said, if you have not been able to get a good score on the GMAT, you should try the GRE. You shouldn't assume that just because I could not get a good score on the GMAT, I will also not get a good score on the GRE. It may not necessarily happen. You might get a better score over there. So you should try that in that case. Otherwise, stick to the GMAT. So that was about the GRE and GMAT. There's one more thing I want to talk about today. Since this is the application season, everybody is busy with writing their essays and everything. There's one category of experts that I have a small problem with, which is your friends or relatives or acquaintances who are currently studying at some good business school or who recently passed out from some good business school. Let me give you an example actually to explain my point. I recently was talking to a student of mine who said, "Oh, Sarfraz, last year one of my brother's friends applied to all the top business schools and he got through to most of them. He is at Wharton right now. Yeah, and you know what he wrote in the application? He wrote a rap song. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to write a rap song or do something very creative in my application because I know I will then be able to get through." And that's the kind of thinking I have a problem with. And for two reasons. And both of which you can apply your critical reasoning assumptions to. The first is, you're assuming that guy got into Wharton because of the rap song. What if he got into Wharton despite the rap song? Maybe they hated his song, but there were other things about his profile that they loved, and they took him despite the song. So, you may be attributing a causality where none exists. That's critical reasoning causality for you. In case you don't know what is causality, watch the first vlog. Vlog number 1, I discuss causality in that. But that's basically what you're doing. Let's say even if there is a causal relation, and let's say this guy did get into Wharton because of his song, the rap song that he wrote, you're assuming what has worked for him will also work for you. What if his profile was very academic? He had a 780 GMAT, very high GPAs, he used to work in a number crunching job. So as an adcom, when I go through his application, I think this guy is very, very analytical, almost nerdy. So then to offset that, if I see him write a rap song, that will be a great thing. Because I'll think, yeah. He also has life beyond numbers or life beyond work. So that's a good thing for him. But what about you? In your profile, it's possible everything is, on the creative side. And then I see a rap song and I'm thinking, why is this guy applying here? He should apply to a film academy or something. So you see, everybody's profile is different. So don't assume that what has worked for a particular person will also work for you. And don't treat these friends and relatives as experts. Please don't do that. There's one particular use that you can put these guys to, and that nobody does. And that is you can use, or you should, or you must use them as a source of first-hand inside information on the school. See, what most students do is when they're applying to a particular school, they will go to the website of the school, pick up a few terms, a few clubs, a few faculty names, mention that in the application, and the adcom can easily make it out. Instead, if what you do is that you speak to your friends or relatives who've studied there, they give you inside dough on, which faculty to study from, which electives to take, what else will you be doing at the school apart from studying. things which one can't find from the website. And if you mention these in your application, in your essays, I mean, it reflects very, very favorably on you because this shows the kind of research you've done. But this nobody does. I mean, use these guys for this purpose. Don't use them to vet your application, to write your application as consultants. I mean, if you want a consultant, hire a good consultant. In fact, a consultant is not a bad idea if you ask me. Because where a consultant can help you is a consultant has seen so many applications that he or she can give you a much better idea of where you stand in terms of the other guys or the other applicants, especially to that particular school, than anybody else. That experience definitely helps. So I'm not saying that you go and hire a consultant. I mean, ideally, if I were applying, I would never hire one. But that's because I think I can do a good job. So if you feel you can't get a consultant, talk to one. But don't blindly rely on your friends and relative club as being experts. They're good at getting into a business school. They may not necessarily be good at getting you into a business school. So just something to keep in mind. So I think that should be enough for today's vlog. Have a nice day, all of you, and I shall see you tomorrow with a new vlog. Bye bye.